Vet organized by VetConnect. And just a brief intro about VetConnect. VetConnect is a digital platform under an organization with the model to incorporate veterinarians into the labor market digitally, where we can easily access clients and clients can access us, curbing quackery, exploiting the digital age and market, as well as expanding the profession, in the face of the labor market. As we all know, that quackery has been one of the major defect or shortcoming of our profession. VetConnect is, one of the champions, trying to eradicate that, as well as creating, a market in the digital age where we can access everything related to veterinary services. VetConnect is not limited to veterinarians. We also have veterinary paraprofessionals onboarded, in our website, on our platform, through the website, as well as vendors and pet owners, livestock owners, and every other veterinary parastatals. So it's a holistic platform where, pushing the veterinary community forward, and once again in the digital age, and there are a lot of functions and benefits of joining or being on board with VetConnect. One is that VetConnect offer you that platform to connect with other veterinary colleagues all around Nigeria and also in Africa. So earlier today, someone was asking me to share Dr. Philip's contact, and I was like, why don't you just sign up on VetConnect and chat him right there? We also have a feature where you can collaborate with colleagues, veterinarians, sharing your cases on board right there on the platform. And you can also, engage in few of the digitalized features, clinical features like disease predictor, feed calculator, and some other, things. And you can also register your clinic or hospital. If you're a vendor for pet shop, you can register it. And, like I shared on the veterinarians WhatsApp platform, we are already swallowed up by the number of pet owners compared to the number of veterinarians. And currently in the country, with the statistics we have, veterinarians to animal handlers or animal owners, it's about 1 to 1,000, pet owners, and we are trying to make that very easy. Just like you want to order a ride on boat, you go to boat and you just pick a ride. We want to make it that easy for pet owners and livestock owners or animal owners, to come on VetConnect and just pick a vet or order the service of a vet that is closer or closest to them. And also, we are not stopping at that. We are also engaging in, other partnerships or collaborations that will benefit veterinarians that are onboarded on the platform. We've had a collaboration with Bolt itself that I just made as an example now, where you can order rides, or if your service is being requested by a pet owner, you can just collaboration we have, get a ride from both at a very interesting discount, and some other partnership which we'll be sharing much later. I just want to do this in about 5 minutes. So please, if you are not registered on VetConnect, I mean, this is one of the biggest things that has happened to our profession in the past 5 years, and I would indulge you that you come on board and experience this magic that that we are doing, and you would really, really be glad you did. So the website is very simple: www.vetconnect. The connect is K, not C, and it's one N. So www.vetconnect.com. Please sign up. If you have any issue, you can just reach out to me. I'm Dr. Abiodun. If you are not on the VetConnect WhatsApp platform, you can also reach out to me to add you there. It's strictly for veterinarians. Any other person we are going to weed out from the group. So it's a safe space for colleagues. Thank you so much. It's 5 minutes already, and I hope to see you on the platform. So welcome to this webinar again. Last year, we had a very, very interesting webinar, and for those who were there, I'm sure that they would want it. We had a lot of feedback, to ensure that we share the coming webinar as early as possible so people don't miss out from it. And I'm very sure that today's webinar, many of us are not going to recover from it. I also understand that our Muslim colleagues are preparing for Ramadan tomorrow, so they might not be able to join tonight. But since this is recorded, we are definitely going to share and they would not miss any part of it. So let me go straight forward. I also want to recognize the presence of the CEO of Konect, Dr. Teresa Akpem Shedrak, here on the call with us. It's experience that I'm recognizing. Thank you very much. And in advance, we want to appreciate our speaker, Dr. Philip Elekwa. Thank you so much, sir. It was by, I think he was in his finals or semi-finals when I entered vet school, and it was a very, very accommodating senior, and I'm so glad that we're connecting again. I mean, that is what the kind of relationship senior and junior colleagues should have. I'm really glad at your exploits, sir, and we are so proud to have you on board with us here. So I will just in about 2 minutes introduce Dr. Philip Elekwa with us. We've been able to share the citation, but I'll just read it again tonight for few of us who have not read it. Dr. Elekwa Philip is a dedicated veterinary professional based in New Zealand, specializing in flock health management, veterinary diagnostics, and animal welfare. With a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and a Master's in Environmental Health Sciences, he has a strong track record in regulatory compliance, biosecurity, and sustainable livestock systems. Dr. Philip is passionate about innovation. He is currently patenting a novel method for converting chicken fat oil into flavor agents for animal feeds. Beyond his veterinary practice, Dr. Philip is committed to empowering the next generation of veterinarians by helping them market themselves effectively through well-crafted CVs and professional materials. His vision is to bridge veterinary science, sustainability, and policy making to drive meaningful change in the industry. Please join me as I welcome Dr. Philip to take us in today's webinar. Thank you so much, sir. By 8:50, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I hope I'm clear and loud enough. Are you clear and loud enough?
Yes, sir. You are very loud enough, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So, all right. Good evening to everybody again. Although I'm in the morning here in New Zealand, so but let me use the Nigerian time so don't get confused. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. I'd like to give a little introduction of how this particular presentation came to be and why I was invited. So sometime last year, I think it was in November or December, I can't remember quite well. I was sharing out opportunities of an opening at Obasanjo Farm for a poultry vet, and a couple of people sent me their CVs, and so in trying to check these CVs, I saw a whole lot of quote and unquote nonsense. I apologize for using the word nonsense, but then it was appalling to see such things like from my colleagues, because I believe, and the way I see the new generation veterinary students or graduates, I see them a bit more technical than the old and mid generation, because you guys had, let me say, a better system than what we had. Abiodun would be able to understand perfectly what I'm saying. I think it was when their own set was coming in that they restructured the whole vet curriculum in UI, to become more like you're doing an MBBS. So I was expecting to see, more. So now in some of these series, especially one, I saw someone write spirituality as a skill. And I was amazed to see that he's highly spiritual and can pray inside his CV. So that prompted me to, speak to him and say, oh, your community, people I'm seeing on your community don't know how to present themselves. It's not a good thing that a veterinarian cannot present themselves. The profession is highly rated, and naturally, because you are a doctor, you are seen as someone that has a lot of intelligence. You are seen as, you are reckoned, to be highly placed in society. So you are not allowed to display such kind of behaviors. So now to the main thing, we all know that the veterinary field is evolving rapidly, and it is going more beyond just the traditional clinical roles that we used to have. Roles from clinics and then into being livestock producers, supervisors on farms, or farm veterinarians, and then doing your own personal practice. I know that a couple of vets after graduation, the first thing that we usually go into is personal practice, PP. In fact, most of us do it even before we graduate, but then things are becoming more advanced, things are changing. Just like the acceptance of animal welfare is becoming more rampant in Nigeria and across Africa, just like it is in the Western world. So the veterinary profession is also changing rapidly, and if we don't change with it and align ourselves with it, then we're going to lose out. Of course, our numbers are very, very low. I think we should be around between 10 to 15,000 vets. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, but I think the last time I checked the VCN log, I think I was seeing something like that, but I'm not too sure of the figures. But I know that our numbers are not so much, and it is like this all over the world. In fact, it's even a little bit critical in the Western world, because we have lesser people even wanting to do veterinary studies, because it's number one, it's very expensive. It's a very expensive program, and also it is very competitive. Before you can gain an admission, you must actually display that your academic record is very sound. So you can't just enroll into a veterinary program, without having those qualities in you. So as the market is evolving, we are also supposed to evolve ourselves, and our employability, it depends on the combination of our technical skills, business abilities, and also the ability to be able to plan strategically and develop careers. So, what is the importance of veterinary employability to us? Now we'll define what employability is, and then we'll go further. So, independent employability, I will say it is the ability for us to gain and maintain employment by developing marketable skills. Not every skill that you have is marketable. For example, most of us know how to give injections, and we can give injections, and we can maybe apply topical treatments, and then a lot of these things. But then what is going to separate us from the animal scientist? If there's any animal scientist on the platform, which I don't think so, I'm not trying to shade any profession, but then we all know that in Nigeria there is a stiff competition between animal scientists and the veterinary doctors, which is not supposed to be. Over here in New Zealand, I've never seen anybody who is in the role of a veterinary nurse trying to compare themselves to the veterinary doctor. In fact, most times here you have to see the nurse first, because doctors are super busy. They have a lot going on. So you first of all see the nurse or the technician or anybody assigned to you before you can now go ahead to see the doctor if the case is, is complex for the nurse to handle. So then, this competition is very, very strict. So what are we going to do to make ourselves different from these people so that we can have employment? There are areas where our profession is beginning to expand into. In those days, departments like public health, we always see public health is always a public holiday. I don't know how many UIs are on the platform right now, but then that's what we used to say. Public health is public holiday. I announced to all of us now that public health is no more public holiday. In fact, public health is one of the most serious parts of veterinary medicine that you can venture into, because it covers everything in the world. It covers from the environment to animals to humans, covers everything, and it's now under One Health. So you can see how very important it is, and it's going to be to everybody in the future. We all know that there are emerging diseases, and there are diseases that can get transferred from animals to humans. Some that have not even been discovered or have not even mutated themselves and begin to transfer into human hosts, but are still developing and are still saying, by the grace of God, we too will join those organisms that have transferred themselves into human beings. Human beings are sweet to have as a host. So all these emerging problems, they're all encapped in the public health space, the One Health space, because then at the point the human doctors will need to collaborate with veterinary doctors, veterinary microbiologists, pathologists, will have to collaborate with the human counterpart to be able to solve problems when all these emerging diseases come into play in humans. Also, the industry is moving into animal welfare policy, compliance, food safety, the rest of those things. Of course, food safety has to be covered by veterinarians in a way, because they are producing food from animal sources and delivering into shops or into the market for humans to eat. So definitely we can occupy that space. Also, there's the agribusiness and technology, like we have Konect now. So it's becoming wide and wide. All right, so we're going to look at the overview of the key topics that we take today. It's not coming in any particular progression, but then we have skills, job, we have the market, we have opportunities around, and then we have your presentation. The presentation has to do about yourself. That's what your presentation is about. And then I think we're going to go into, just go briefly into CV writing. That's what is going to give you a very good presentation. All right, so let's understand employability in veterinary medicine. I think I've explained this part of it, but then, okay, so let's go into the key attributes of employable vets. I've done the first two. So for an employable vet now, the very first thing that you need to have, which our program gives to us, is the professional adaptability. This is your ability to be able to work in diverse fields like food safety and research, biotech, and lot, as I previously mentioned. Number two, you need to network. You need a networking and professional branding. I know that a lot of people, when they hear this branding, they always relate it to like graphics designing. That's what I used to relate it to back in the day. I always think branding is about, graphic design, but branding is more like an image. For example, let me use Dr. Abiodun as an example. The way he brands himself online without his logo, Once you see that logo, you know that, this is Dr. Abiodun's logo. And then he'll post lots of videos of him doing in a surgery session, maybe he has a particular case, or he's busy overseeing a WhatsApp meeting, a WhatsApp group, question and answers, coordinating a veterinary community. That is brand. Because when you're going to mention the name Dr. Abiodun, what you will think about is all these things that he's doing. That constitutes the brand. Also, as a veterinarian, you need to network. You need to join associations, just like we are all together now having this webinar, and we are all on the Vet Konekt platform, either on WhatsApp or on the app. You are connecting with your fellow veterinarian, and then when there is opportunity, you see that people will begin to post jobs available. That way, you are able to get into something instead of just lying fallow. Also, to add to networking, there is something that the larger population in Nigeria lacks, and that is collaboration. We find it difficult to collaborate, probably because of trust and wanting to self-glorify the things that we achieve. I want to say, I did this all by myself. Our normal slogan is, it was grace, it's grace, and God's grace. So it's the grace of God that brought me to this place. Not wanting to attribute any of your success to some particular people, which we all know that we cannot do anything without people helping us. You can only climb a ladder when there's actually a ladder to climb. So if you don't have a ladder to climb, you actually will not be able to climb the ladder. Sorry, I think I've missed something here. Sorry, give me a minute. I clicked on something and I've disorganized my slide.
We can still see your slides here.
Yeah, you can see my slide, but I'm not able to control it. I'm not able to.
Okay.
Maybe I'll fix it. Okay. No, not yet. Sorry, just a minute. Shouldn't have touched this thing. I was trying to admit someone inside that I saw on.
It's fine. Yeah. I already admitted. No problem, sir.
So I disorganized everything from me. And this is actually a new device that I bought, so I've not gotten the hold of this device.
And maybe you can stop sharing your screen, then start
and then
again.
and then start again. Okay.
Stop sharing. Yes. Then come up again. Sorry for the break in transmission, please.
Yeah,
all right, we are
good. Yeah, I apologize for that.
You can put it in a full screen so we can see well, sir. Are you able to do that? At the down part of your screen, you will see a symbol like a cup. Yeah, no, next. Yes, the last one, yes.
Slideshow? Okay, this.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, perfect.
Oh, all right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So I was talking about collaboration, right? So the ability for us to collaborate and to partner with our colleagues or people that are outside the profession. If we take a snapshot, we realize that those that are not even veterinary doctors are the ones that have the veterinary businesses. Yes, an example. that I used to always shout about in those days. Apologies if his son is on this place, was Charlie King. But those days in school, be like, Charlie King is not a vet. But then he's just, just there, making all the money, eating everything. He's not employing vets. He's not doing this, not doing that. It's not his fault. He has the insight to do the business. Most of the veterinary doctors are not willing to do the business. Most veterinary doctors are only just wanting to carry needle and go and inject one dog. Use oxytet, probably use ivermectin. Oxytet, ivermectin, savior drugs. That's what we carry about. You get so, but then the ability for us to be able to collaborate with people and have this entrepreneurial mindset, think beyond just the traditional jobs and then go into business, create a business is very, very important for us as veterinary doctors. Take this out. All right. So let's look at the attributes of an employable vet. Number one attribute is having the technical skills. If you just graduated from school, that is something that you should have already. That's what the school trains us to have. Technical skills, the ability for us to diagnose diseases and to be able to treat diseases. Surgical abilities. This is basically for people who are going into clinical practice. You can't go into clinical practice without being able to perform a surgery. And also, let me just say this. Do not look down yourself if you are this vet that cannot do a surgery. No, everybody must not be a surgeon, but at least have a knowledge of it so as to help a case. When someone comes to you, have a little bit knowledge of it, but not having the skill does not make you less a vet. But then, in the real sense of it, because there is that surgeon behind our title, it's always veterinary surgeon. We should actually have that skill. Over in the Western world, almost every veterinary doctor must, even the veterinary nurses too, have basic surgical skills. And when you see job postings and you see the roles, it's always written there, be able to do some surgical maneuvers and the rest of them. It's an important skill for us to have. Under technical skills, you have health management, that's health management, biosecurity, epidemiology, laboratory and diagnostic proficiency. Very, very important thing for vets to have. Number two, the soft skills. Soft skills include the ability for us to communicate. Why do you need to communicate? You should be able to explain a medical condition to your pet owners or to the farmer that you're working for or you're consulting for. If you cannot explain explicitly, you will most times get yourself into trouble. For example, in a case of parvovirus infection, let's say a client calls you and says, "Doctor, my dog has been vomiting and it is stooling blood, diarrhea and blood." And then you ask the client, "Oh, how does it smell? Does it smell very awful?" "Doctor, yes, it smells awful." Then you said, "Please send me a picture." Most times that's what we do. I do that. Send me a picture, a video, let me see. So I appraise the condition before I can say a yes or no to the case. So now I look at this dog and I say, this dog is already looking skinny, it's emaciating. And then I ask the client, when did this thing start? And the person tells me, "Doctor, this thing started since last week, but it was not that bad. It was," and most times, take note that those clients will lie to you. They have that skill to hide information. It is your own duty to be able to bring out this information and know the truth about the situation. So tells you, doctor has said since last week. Last week when? Last week Monday, and he's reporting the thing to you. Maybe the next week on a Wednesday. You know by miracle that dog has survived. And you know that if you take that case, that dog is going to die most times. Now, you are supposed to explain to this client and say, dear client, this dog has stayed more than a week in this condition. The chance of survival that I can give you is 30-70, or you say it's 50-50. I will try my best, but just for you to know, even the prognosis of the parvo infection is 50-50. It's either a yes or a no, but it can still die no matter what you try. But then, in that kind of condition, you need to be able to calculate and let the person know that, see, this can actually be 30-70. So it's better for you to have that skill to be able to explain so you don't get yourself into trouble. You save your head, because now you have left the VTH where you can make mistake, and you have the covering of VTH or the school, to protect your mistake. But when you're now practicing on your own, especially when you now have a brand, someone can just destroy your brand in one day, something you have labored so hard to build. So that skill is very, very important. You must be able to lead very well, because you might own an organization and you must be able to lead your staff. Leadership will help you to have a sound teamwork, because you must definitely work with teams. You might not work with, it might not be other teams in your organization. What about people like the gate man of the house you are going to treat a dog if you do home services? I've encountered situations. I once was treating this school. What's the name of this school again now? What's their name again? This Obasanjo's primary school in Ota. If I remember the name, I'll say, just skip my mind now. So now they have horses, and I was taking care of those. That's Bell's primary school, yeah, Bell's primary school at Sango Ota. So I was managing their horses, and there's this man who is the stable manager. Now, I was always taking care of that man, giving him some little stipends, from my salary. Why? Because it was important for him to give me information. There were times at 4 a.m. he's calling me, doctor, something is happening, and I'm moving there straight, because it's my responsibility. So now, if I was not good to this man, there's no how he was going to give me the information I needed to be able to act very, very fast. So it's important for you to know how to lead people, how to manage people and their diverse, personalities. Be able to solve problems quick, very, very instant decision making ability. You must be able to have it. An example of that, I'll be giving many examples of my own practice, my own journey, so it can sink in better. Working in Obasanjo farm was a particular day that we were just having this training on, I think it was on time management or so. And then there's this particular house in the farm, because the farms are, we have different farms, but now in this particular farm, there are 8 houses. So in one of the 8 houses, the birds there were taking a particular feed that was made with a concentrate that had anticoxy inside it. So now, anticoxy, and then the drugs that we give for treating this condition. What's the name? Why am I forgetting these things? What's this condition that causes views in chicken? Very, very common condition. Dr. Abedin.
That causes what, sir?
Views in broiler.
Is it coryza, rails, or what did you say?
Not coryza, rails. respiratory problems.
CLD.
Yeah, CLD, thank you.
Okay.
So now, in treating CLD, our CLD plan is always to start treating from day 19 and, end it at day 21. So the particular drug we're using, tiamolin, reacts with anticoxis. So now, that day, I forgot that I was not to give this tiamolin to that house. Every other house around the whole farm was to take this drug. So it was just only one house not taking it, and I've not missed it for once. But this particular day, I just wrote my review and gave to my veterinary assistant, go and distribute drugs around the farm, and forgot that this house should not take tiamolin. So just almost immediately, they administered the drugs to the birds, and then a report came that the birds were reactive. In fact, they were saying that the birds were all lying on the floor. They could not stand. There was paralysis, had difficult breathing, and it was just as if there was heat stress. And then got there and saw that everywhere was cool. Temperature was down. There was no heat stress. And I asked, "What did you guys do?" We gave tiamolin. At that point, I now remember that this house is not that. And I asked them, "Why did you give tiamolin to this house?" They said, "No, doctor, it was you that wrote it." Basic. So straight up, in an instant, I just had to think of a reversal agent to buy. Send them to the pharmacy to get this reversal agent and administer this straightforward. Administer lots of vitamins to just reverse the effect. And yes, none died. We did not lose one single bird that day because of the ability to think so fast and act immediately. So that ability is very, very important to be able to be employable. Another instance is when I was doing my interview with Obasanjo Farm, I think the EDM and day of the farm actually asked that question. So how spontaneous are you? I'm a very spontaneous person. I have very, very good reflexes. And I told him, I said, see, I can be no other thing, but you see, that spontaneity, I'm very, very spontaneous. Okay, so we'll move on. So problem solving, customer service. With customer service, you'll be able to retain a client. If you have a client and you cannot retain that client for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or even forever, then you have a problem. You need to develop yourself in customer service. Number 3, you must have business and management skills, because every veterinary business operation needs that skill. Financial planning for a clinic, or organizing your inventory, or even taking down records of what you sell, what comes in and what comes out. If not, in fact, they will rip you of your profit. You lose everything if you don't have this skill. You must be able to make your budget too. Very important thing. Sales and marketing of veterinary services, everything in this world requires marketing. You are even marketing yourself by sharing out a CV. You have written everything about you, all your skills, every important thing about you in just that one page. And you are giving it to somebody. And the person reads it and says, "Oh, I like this person. This person is fit for the job." That is marketing. You've already sold yourself out to that person, that you can do this, you can do the role that they are presenting out for adverts. We also have digital proficiency. Not all of us would have this digital proficiency, definitely. But then it is very important, to grow ourselves into that. An example is there's this I think there's this platform called EasyVet that is used here. EasyVet. There's the other one again. I've forgotten the name. These platforms allow for very, very easy documentation of cases, of the clinical records. So once these things are documented, it's easy for a next doctor to be able to see the case file, understand the patient, and move on from there. I'm not too sure. I don't know what is going on around in the Nigerian vet space, but I'm not sure that Nigeria has gotten to that extent where we're going to have online records of cases of the when
We
staff
have
should
that
be
on Vet Connect now, sir. On Vet Connect, you can do that.
on Vet, yes, you can do that now on Vet Connect.
Yes,
That's
sir.
very,
You
very
can,
important.
yes, you can put up your case online on a
Yeah,
database. Yes, on Vet Connect.
that is very, very impressive. That's what we need. I actually need to push it more so that every veterinarian has a data, so that tomorrow if someone travels out and he has to pass his client to someone else, there's a record somewhere that you can use to understand the case profile of this particular animal, and then you can move on from there. It makes the job easier for everybody. It's what the human health counterparts do in this place. We have a particular app where all your results, every test you have ever done is displayed there and explained. So nothing is hidden from you. Every medication that has been prescribed to you is there. Your whole data is there. They do an examination for you, and then your kidney test is everything is just there. So I think the same thing, we should be able to replicate it in a veterinary practice. All right, we'll move ahead a bit. So I'll explain all these, our core skills. So I'll go back again. Core skills for veterinary employment. We have technical skills, that's the diagnosis, soft skills, business and management, and we have digital proficiency. All right, so agribusiness startups for veterinarians now. So we have a lot of potential in agribusiness. I really want to speak about clinics because that is the default for most veterinarians in Nigeria. You mentioned finishing from the southwest, Ibadan. I think we have a vet school in what's the name of this? It's OUYO. What's this school? Around the southwest, when a veterinary doctor finishes, what he's thinking about is PP. First thing, that is first survival mode. So most of the time we are, we have the knowledge of clinic practice. So I won't really go into it. I'll just talk about the other parts of the practice that we can tap into. So first of all, we have opportunities in livestock production. Livestock production includes poultry, fishery, snail farming, rabbit breeding. We have dairy and beef production. Our dairy and beef production, we have left it for Hausa people to do, the local Hausa people. It's not a bad thing though, but then we are supposed, since we are professionals, we are supposed to have developed this livestock farming to an extent where even those that are involved in it locally would emulate from us, and then we will transform our livestock industry to have a look alike with what we have in the Western world. And because if we are able to take care of this particular aspect of our production, of our livestock production, invariably it goes to improve biosecurity. Livestock production has a direct relationship with biosecurity, either the animal health or zoonosis. Very direct relationship. Second one is feed production and sales. We've left feed production for the Lebanese, for the Indians, for the Chinese. They are the big people that come into the play, and they're the ones that produce our feed, and whatever they give to us, so we accept the feed regardless. But then it's also a very good place to venture into. I think for the small animal production, there's a particular person that produces kibbles. I think I was told the person is in Nigeria. I'm not so sure, but at least one of my colleagues, Dr. Koti, says the man is a Nigerian. So if you have Nigerian already, coming into feed production like this, and we have more people that will come into it, feed production is a very lucrative business. Definitely, anything that is food would stand the test of time. We all must eat. We must eat, and for us humans to eat, the animals also must eat. So feed production and sales is very, very important. We have the veterinary consultancy services. Services can include training and also training of farmers. They can train on disease prevention. You can train on production efficiency. That is, if you have skills in stockmanship, you can also train on production efficiencies and relate the veterinary angle to production, so they can so they can understand how those two relate, the effects of that angle to their efficiency. An instance would be biosecurity. If biosecurity is not duly observed, we know that production is going to drop because the health of the animals and the immune system will be crashed. When that happens, production is going to lower. When there is disease, there will not be good feed conversion. So that directly, affects. And so it's something that you can go into, build yourself on it, and consult. And the thing about consultancy is that you can have 3, 4, 5 farms that you are consulting for. And just imagine that from each of these farms, you have a retainership deal with them, and you make a particular sum of money, and then you multiply by 4, 5. You're making a lot of money. So it's lucrative for us to go into. Then we have veterinary drugs and equipment. You can import and distribute vaccines, supplements, and farm tools. You can also go into production of veterinary drugs. We have a couple of people who produce veterinary drugs already. A lot of our colleagues who own pet stores, some of them even produce their acaricides. Some of them produce it, using sapamentrine and just of these things to they make these things, and it's good because I think there's this topical ointment that is used for wound healing. Yeah, I've seen a couple of friends produce that ointment, and it sells very, very well. I buy a lot from them. So we can also start from there, start small, and then go into major drug production, just the way Catalan Pharma is doing. Catalan Pharma is a Nigerian veterinary pharmacist who produces on large scale, and his drugs it's not an advert I'm doing. I'm just giving us an example. So please, I'm not doing advert for anybody. All right, then we have agri-tech and innovation, the incorporation of AI into the agri-business, the incorporation of using apps and softwares into agri-business, just like the EasyVet thing, for data management. You can use AI or any of these apps and softwares to track records, even to track diseases. There was a man who was a software developer and was trying to venture into AI at a particular point that approached me in I think late 2022. So I think he was trying to train an AI model on how to diagnose diseases through picture processing. So now the app, you would just send a picture into the app, and based on the features of that's on that picture, it can tell you, okay, this disease is this and this, advise you, and see it has an accuracy of maybe 50% that is this particular problem, but then it might be this, and this, and this. we're not able to finish that project. We're not able to finish it, and I've not heard from them again. But then this is something that someone can also go into. You might have the fear that will this not take the physical jobs from people? No, it will not. Instead, it will make you more efficient. If you give these apps to farmers to use, and a farmer knows, okay, this is what is happening already, tentatively, then it makes the work easy for you, even before you come and do your confirmatory diagnosis. You already know what you're dealing with based on what this technology that this person has used is telling you. All right. So to start an agribusiness, I'll just highlight some of the steps, for us to start agribusiness. Then we'll go into some of the challenges and solutions before we now move into the main topic that I actually was preparing to speak on. So, to recap, the opportunities that we have around for veterinarians, livestock production, feed production and sales, veterinary consultancy service, agri-tech, and the likes. And there is also something that I was going to say. Has anyone thought about pasturing as a form of business for veterinarians? I'm very sure people would say it really does not make sense. But then pasturing, that's growing of grasses. Over here in New Zealand and other Western countries, just at the tail end of the winter, going into summer. No, after spring rather, after spring going into summer, they begin to harvest the dried grasses. They allow their grasses to dry out, and then they harvest it, and pack it, and it is called hay. So now, during winter, they feed this to their cows. We all know that Nigeria is blessed with different types of grasses. Over in this place, I can only see just 1-2 type of grass. In Nigeria, we have plenty. We have elephant grass. We have this spear grass. At least there are 3-4 different types of grasses that I know. There was even one that someone was telling me about that that has a very fast growth rate, which I was even thinking of starting up. So pasturing is one particular aspect that we Nigerians have not looked into. Although there's still this struggle between the headers, policies, politicians, the whole political thing around the nomadic, cattle business. Yes, it's there, but the truth is that if someone starts it, let's give ourselves 5 to 10, 15 years, it will become a common thing. Just like now, agri-tech is coming up. We have lots of veterinarians that are into tech. I see some of them on LinkedIn. Yeah, there's this guy. That has a startup called Help Mom. I think his name is Adireni or so, if I remember quite well. Abiodun, you should know that guy now. Was in your set. I think Abiodun Adireni or so. That's his name. He has one startup called Help Mom, and has even gone into another one again. Like the guy is all over. Then there's one other guy again. His name is Dayo. So I think it was in 2 or 3 sets after myself that's gone into tech. I even have one of my colleagues too, Irabo. That's Irabo, yeah. He too is into tech, So a lot of us have started going into tech, and then you can also make it with agriculture and and the veterinary aspect of it, and it becomes something that we can make money from also. So in starting an agribusiness, the very first thing I would do is to have a market research. So we would identify profitable niches For instance, if you know that you can do very well in mobile veterinary service, which is the case for almost everybody, but then there are some people that have done so well in mobile veterinary service than others. So you can say that is their niche. So discover the niche that is profitable for you, especially in your area. You will not take you will not say you're going to a place like let me say a place like Jigawa State, and then say you want to go and do you want to go and open a dog and cat clinic. You will not sell. You won't sell. I actually said in Jigawa State before I relocated back to Ibadan because of the Areba thing that they were doing that time in 2000, I think 2017 or so. That threat that they were saying all Igbos should leave the north, and I ran away. I didn't want to die in a lighter note. So in serving there, I discovered that when they bring dogs to the clinic, they expect you to treat it for free. They're not going to pay you for treating that dog. But you see, the sheep, goat, cow, when they bring it, they will pay you. There was a time I went into one of, I went into the bush to treat the full animals cattle. I think it was, I can't really count the numbers, but that day we really, really worked hard, treating. And these guys, they were really serious about their cattle. So you won't go to a place like the Jigawa State and go and start setting up a clinic for dogs and cats. You will not sell anything because that is not a good niche for that particular location. But if you set it up in a place like Ibadan, the ratio of dog breeders to vets is increasing every day. Even veterinarians too are going into dog breeding. And that's an example of an aspect of agribusiness startups that you can do. As a young vet, you can start with dog breeding. A lot of us have done that and made money. We know how much puppies cost now. So it's part of the business. So back to starting an agribusiness. Your niche. Create your niche. Do your market research and know what goes around the market. Second thing you do is to now develop your business plan. Please develop a roadmap to say, if I start from here, what am I going to sell, or what service am I going to give, how much am I going to charge, how long will I wait for the capital I've invested to at least begin to give me some profit. At least you need to break even first. You need to recover your capital before you now start thinking about the profits you're going to make. So you have to have that roadmap to say, okay, the next 4 to 5 years, I'm going to make this amount of profit. And then you begin to say, okay, I will upscale. So you need to have that plan on ground. Also, then you need to make a plan of how you're going to fund that business and the resources you're going to need. Are you going to take a grant? Are you going to take a loan? Are you going to partner with somebody? Yes, you might have someone that has the money. You might have a big man that has the money for you to start, and you're the one that has the idea. And go to this person and give a solid business plan and say, with this idea, I think at so and so time, we are going to be able to start making this and this. And then the returns you'll be getting from this business will be this and this. You state it clear. Make the person understand. The person buys your idea. The person will fund you. And you start up already into business. Then you go ahead to do your legal documentation and compliance of every requirements that you need to register the business. An example is for you to register the business itself with CAC, and then meet all the veterinary health standards that you have to meet. Register also with either VCN or the veterinary board or veterinary body in your state or any state that you are. to prove that you have a veterinary business. You cannot do it, can't do the business without taking that into consideration. If not, at the point they'll come after you, they'll come and fight you, and your business would go down. It's going to suffer because by the time they start levying you for giving you penalties and you're paying those monies, then it doesn't make any sense. You're losing money actually. And the last thing for you to do is to be able to market yourself. You can leverage on social media and digital marketing. That's the in thing right now. Anything you post online has a way of just blowing up. These days, everything blows up. I'm very sure that every one of us in Nigeria now currently is seeing adverts from these people. Temu. They're not seeing Temu. Let me know. They're not seeing Temu. Every single time, those people will just come on your screen on Facebook. They are there looking at you, sending you mails. If you click anything, they take up your information and they begin to send you mails and offer. Most of the time, over here is the app I use in buying a lot of things. And then sometimes they just send me a mail and say, this particular item has 90% discount. And I'll be like, what item is that? I'll go there, I will see the thing. I pick my interest, and then I've bought it if it's something that I need. So the same way, you can leverage on social media to push your business and do your marketing also. So that will help your startup to grow. So the last one for this session is going to be the challenges. Now, most of the time, challenges that we face is basically capital, the money to use. I would say that if you want to start up something, the very best way for you to raise capital would be during your NYSC. Try very hard to, if you can work your post into a place where you will make money, it's better you do that. Like I actually moved from Jigawa State to Oyo State, partly because of what happened, the Araba issue. But then also, it was for the money. Yeah, it was for the money because I think the Jigawa State was to pay us. I think then the federal government was paying 19.5 at that time, and then the Jigawa State said that we were going to pay 26,000 for veterinary doctors. That was too small for me. How would I be collecting 26,000? And then there's one particular state at that time that was paying 108,000. And there was one particular state also that was to give the coppers, the veterinary doctors, after they had finished serving. I think we were to pay them, was it 1.6 million or 2.6? I can't remember. I had a friend that was in that state at that time. So I told myself, all these people will have this kind of money and I won't have it. I'll go and suffer in the Jigawa State and be collecting 26,000. So I moved to Oyo State where they paid, I think it was 86 or 96,000. At least that was still okay. I saved up all my state allowance. I didn't spend any. I was doing PP. I was doing a lot of other things. Then I was into music, so I was going for shows and saving up my money. That money was what I used in my master's, the master's degree I did in UI. So then, for those that want to go into business, you can use such savings to start your business. You can even start from dog breeding and raise more money. Yes, dog breeding too is capital intensive to buy feed. But as a doctor, I'm sure that you should be able to do that efficiently and know how to cut cost on feeding, and still get a very good result. So you can start from there, build up a little capital, and then progress into owning a clinic if you think the clinic pathway is the best for you. And if you think it is livestock business that's the best for you, you can go ahead to have a little farm. Maybe start with 500 beds, and then from 500 beds, move to 1,000. The next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're already on 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. That way, you're making your money. Either you do poultry or you do sheep and goats, or you do cow, you can start from there and then you move up. If you can't find such capitals personally by yourself, like I said before, you can seek partnership and other funding opportunities to help you. Then also, one of the challenges is the market competitions that we have, whereby you would have to differentiate between quality and also the branding too. If you brand yourself properly, even if you have a low quality, they will patronize even more than the person that has high quality. It's more about visibility. Who is visible enough to provide a service? And also there are regulatory barriers that can also prevent you. It can be a challenge to you. So then this is all on us to be updated constantly on every local veterinary and the local veterinary laws, whatever is obtainable in that particular location. All right, so we'll move into CV writing and its roles, how we can now place ourselves. Now we have gotten the skills that is needed. We now have the idea of business, how to start up a business. We have an idea of roles that we can take. Either want to go into clinic services or want to do livestock business, or we're going to feed, any of all those pathways that we can go through. So now this how can we now present ourselves to a recruiter or present ourselves to someone who has money? How can we build our presentation to make someone just understand in one sentence what we are all about? So the first question is, what is a CV? CV, as it is called, curriculum vitae, is a document that highlights our education, our skills, the experiences that we've had, and achievements. The CV is actually the first impression that you're going to ever give the employer or someone that has an interest to invest in you. And as they say, the first impression lasts longer. Even though these days, I always tell people that, yes, first impression lasts longer, but then, what about the other impressions that have to come after our first impression? But then definitely, the first impression is what is going to sit you down to now be accepted. So the key components of a strong veterinary CV. I wish I could actually share copies of those CVs that I got, but then I don't want to breach anybody's privacy by sharing their contents, whether it is by blurring out the names or whatever. I don't want to do that, but I wish I could do that for you to see the way they arranged their CVs. Now, I think in the past, we usually write CVs by starting with some personal details, and then somebody will put religion, Christianity, and put I'm married. Then some other people will put their location and their house address. Then some people will now put I think back in that time, that was what we used to do. But now things are changing. So the best thing that you do on your CV is putting your personal details. What would personal detail entail? It's not about religion now. You don't have to put religion or even house address. It has changed from that into putting personal details such as your LinkedIn profile, your email address, your phone number. Those are personal details, things that one can reach you with. Your name, personal details. Still, people still add address, but there are various arguments now on the use of address. Many people don't, and there's a disadvantage with the use of address. If a recruiter doesn't want to give themselves so much of stress and say let us employ somebody that is, especially if they did not categorically state it, to say only those people in Ibadan should apply for this role. But then, because the person is wanting to just take people from Ibadan alone, and you have put a location stating that you are in Lagos, the person might not even consider your CV, and you might actually be the best fit for that job, after the person has interviewed you, because a lot of things change during interview. So you want a situation where you are invited for an interview, because when you get to an interview, you can prove yourself beyond any reasonable doubt that the person should take somebody from a very far place and take somebody who is close, because of the qualities you have displayed and what the person is going to gain by employing you. So personal details, just put in your LinkedIn profile, which a LinkedIn profile is very important for everybody. You need to plot your progress on LinkedIn. Let everybody see what you're doing. Join the community on LinkedIn. Connect with people. Yeah, connect with people. Connect with professionals in the same veterinary space that are even outside the country. Introduce yourself to them and say, hey, this is what I do. I read about you, and it's nice meeting you, blah, blah, and that. You never can tell when an opportunity is going to come for you just by doing that. Second, you write down your professional summary. Professional summary must be a statement that is summarizing your expertise. Okay, I am a dedicated veterinarian who has interest in animal welfare and sustainable development. I have been able to achieve X and X and X and X and X this in X and Y Z role, and produce results such as this and this and this, improving this and this and this in the roles that I have taken. That is, you get, it's a summary of what you are. Just by saying that thing, you've captured the person to want to go more into your CV, because you've sold out the key things that you have been able to achieve in your previous roles. Even if you have not taken a role before, let me just say you're a fresh vet, you're not taking anything. There are still some other transferable skills that you can put as a professional summary. Now, all the internships that we do during our coursework, they are also work experiences. Most people don't take it as work experience. It's a way you can fine-tune those internship and say, I'm a fresh graduate that has done this and this and this and this and in this and this. So this is what I've been able to achieve. It gives you credibility that way. Then you move on to your core skills. What are the list of competencies that you have that is veterinary, that is actually relevant to the veterinary field? An example, biosecurity. Oh, I'm very skilled at biosecurity, biosafety, biocontainment, and then I like these core skills that you have. We discussed skills that the veterinarian should have to make them employable. Your soft skills also. If you have any technological skills, you take everything, Can you communicate? Can you work in a fast-paced environment? Almost every employer would expect that you say you can work in a fast-paced environment. Fast-paced environment is an environment that has a little bit of tension, and everything has to move with in quick succession. Can you be able to withstand such pressures and still hold your head up and have an achievement? Can you work with team members? All those are skills that you need to highlight. Aside highlighting the core skills associated with the profession, like surgery and the rest of them, the soft skills that also should associate with having to work with the company, you must highlight it also. Then you highlight your experiences and achievements. In the CV, you see people saying, I worked as, or the topic would be veterinary officer, state veterinary hospital, Makola Ibadan. And now start putting this thing. I treated animals that had done. I write that down. Then you would put another point again. I conducted surgery, you know. But then now it's a different approach to these things. When you write an experience, you must be able to put an achievement to this experience. For example, now I give an example of someone bringing a Pablo case that was already 1 week old, and now if you achieved resuscitating that dog and that dog actually made it, the dog came alive and made it, got well, you should be able to write that particular achievement and present it to the person, saying, "See, I've been able to work so hard that if you give me, most likely if you give me a case of Pavo that has stayed 7 days, that dog will not die. I will treat that dog." That's putting down your achievement. You've experienced it, and you write an achievement. So now, the whole gist in writing this particular aspect is you must be able to add numerical value of something. Maybe you took a compliance role and you're saying that you manage that particular role, and and the people around you, and it increased the compliance level to about 100% from 60% it was before. So all the sorry, excuse me. So those that you work with are able to adhere strictly to the compliance that's attached to that particular job, and you are a key person that made this to happen. So you need to highlight this particular achievement. Also, you would put in your certifications and membership. That is, in most cases, you actually need it. But then I think before then, you have to put your education. So if let's say you have a DVM and then you have an MPH or an MSc, you need to highlight that in there. What year did you graduate? If you had a research or publication, attach it to it. But most times in a job seeking CV, you really don't need to highlight research and publications. I think it's more of academic CVs that you put those things down, to be able to show that you've been able to achieve a lot of things in the academic line, that would qualify you to being admitted for a particular graduate program or a fellowship. So when you do that, you also tailor your CV for different veterinary roles. Now let me explain this, because many people think that you can just use one particular CV and apply for 10 jobs. No, it does not work that way, because nowadays, even recruiters are using AI to sift out CVs. So then you must be able to use particular keywords and also write your CV according to the role that was presented out. Now, someone brings out a job opportunity and says, this veterinary doctor must be able to perform surgery, and mentions like 2 or 3 different types of procedures that this person must be able to do. And so the person must be able to use an X-ray machine, or the person must be able to use an ultrasound machine, or the person must be able to do this particular type of diagnosis and be able to use softwares, medical softwares, maybe Avimac, EasyVet. So now, you as an applicant, you just went to write something that is general and say, about security, I'm good about security. I have all the soft skills that you need. But now in this particular CV that you are trying to form, you did not put it inside. You did not put roles that categorically have tackled the question that has been asked on that advert, that can you do these particular things? Can you use AVMAC? Where have you used AVMAC and how have you been able to successfully use it? You did not make a mention of those things. So now when the person is screening your CV, the person is taking you out because the person is not seeing those particular roles that has been mentioned. So even if you have transferable skills to those roles, you must be able to highlight it and tailor your CV for that particular role. One thing I omitted to mention is that the CV should be able to have a title. For instance, on my own CV, I have animal welfare / sustainability professional. That's what I have on my own CV. When I see a role as looking for poultry veterinarian, I will change it and put my heading as poultry veterinarian. And then I'll tailor my CV to poultry and bring all the experiences I've had in poultry. I write it down. When it comes to experiences in animal welfare, animal care, everything I've done under flock health, I will write it down as the experiences and match it to that particular role. Anything I've done in sustainability, I would put it down also. Even if that particular role has to come from experiences you had in various other roles that is not directly linked to sustainability, you would need to tailor it to match and say, okay, yes, I had this experience in this place, and because of this experience, I believe that I can use it in this place. Then your CV has now been able to meet that criteria for the job that you're actually applying for. So most times we make mistakes with our CV writing, and one of the mistakes is overloading it with unnecessary details. Now, in the course of your professional development, let's say in trying to hustle to pay your fees, or you did a job as maybe a cashier, a hotel manager, and then, or you worked in a restaurant, then you're putting that particular experience inside a veterinary CV. It doesn't make any sense. Anything that is not fitted for that particular role, please don't add it. Many times I see on a poultry CV where people put maybe experiences that they had in the laboratory, even while it is not bad, but then it is not matching exactly. There's a way you can tweak it to say, okay, I have this experience in laboratory, so it can help me to diagnose properly, or to support the laboratory on the farm to actually diagnose the conditions properly. That would now be an addition for you, to be an addition. But then you have to first of all put the information that has to do with poultry veterinarian to that CV, so that you don't put unnecessary details. CVs of nowadays require you to have just a page, at most 2 pages. I think even the US CV style does not allow you to have more than 2 pages. 2 pages, and that is it. Once you're having more than 2 pages, it becomes a burden. Some people will only put 2 or 3 rows. I have just 3 rows on my CV. The CV I used in getting a job in New Zealand was actually just 2 rows. My role in Obasanjo Farm, and also my personal practice role. Those are the only 2 things I put inside there, and it's a poultry job. And everything you get for my personal practice, I dwelt more on consulted for poultry farms, and explained the things that I did around it. That got me the job. It got me an interview, and my interview qualified me to have the job. All right, moving forward. So another mistake that we have again is using a generic CV for every application, just like I said previously. Using one CV to want to take 10 jobs in the space. No, it's not going to work for you. If you are told to put a small animal, if you are told that you need a small animal veterinarian, please don't go and put experiences in poultry and now be putting it for small animal. When you're going to write a small animal veterinarian CV, you must even be big on surgery. You must be big on surgery because you need that skill in that particular place. You must be big on diagnosis, accurate diagnosis. You get. You must be big on using an ultrasound machine most of the time. You know, in the more developed countries, you must have all these skills. So you can't start putting the roles that you've had as a poultry veterinarian and want to use it, you know, to shine in a small animal veterinarian's role. No, it's not going to work for you. Then also you have the poor formatting. There are different types of formats to write a CV. Some CVs require you to have a chronological arrangement, that is starting from your highest qualification down to the lowest qualification. So if you go and put, say for your education, you now started with your primary school, what does the person want to do with your primary school? The person knows that for you to have gotten to that level, you actually went to primary school. So all you just need to put is your university education, and that's it. You don't need to even put the primary school. You get chronologically arrange the things that you've done in your experiences. Start from your most current job. Maybe, okay, started in 2017 till now. You put it as your current job and explain the job you had done 2 or 3 years before. You know, you write it. Even if you have a gap, you still put something doing. Also, too, let me just put this as an extra point. If you had a gap, most recruiters don't always want to see gaps, but I don't think it should be a problem because for good reasons, people have gaps on their CVs, either to go to school or some people would even like to take a rest from working. Well, over here, people decide to say, okay, I don't want to work for a year. I want to have a rest from working. You know, they have some money in their account and they can go holidaying, travel around, see things. It's part of the process to actually develop yourself, because my moving out of Nigeria has broadened my mindset and opened my eyes to a lot of opportunities. If I have to set up something in Nigeria, it is going to be quite different from just what I would have done without traveling out of Nigeria. So all those things actually add to your professional development. But then when you have a gap like that, it's always good to fill up something very important that you were doing at that particular time. You get, and package it for your recruiter to be able to read and relate it down to, you know, to your professional growth. All right, the last point is the lack of quality achievement. You know, you have these achievements already, but you cannot be able to quantify it and present it to be of quality. Just like I was saying, that you need to put a numerical value. Let me say, for example, now as a poultry veterinarian now, you're able to achieve a 1% mortality, a 1% cycle mortality, and you cannot write it down to say, I achieved the 1% cycle mortality, maybe an FCR 1.5, and waiting 33 days of 2 kilograms, and you cannot quantify those achievements. You will not be able to, you won't be able to, you know, portray the strength of what you have been able to do to that person, to say, this person can achieve this kind of parameter, then I think this person is a good fit for us. Or you say, okay, you came to a particular farm, the mortality rate was at 20%, and you're able to work so hard to bring it down to like 2% or 3%. That's a very great achievement. So you have to quantify it, put a timeline. In 6 months, I was able to, you know, that way you are improving the quality and quantifying the achievement. So most of the time, like in all the CVs that I actually read, it was only just one person that had that on her CV, and the person was quite an elderly person. So I wasn't surprised, knowing that the person had, you know, done a lot of CVs in the past like that to be able to get to that level. So that's one of the problems also that we have in writing our CVs. So how can we get our CV to be noticed by a recruiter? and then be able to market our skill. First of all, structure your CV properly. I've explained this in different ways. I've mentioned it 2 or 3 times. Structure the CV properly and structure it in such a way that within the first few seconds, especially right starting from your professional, that's your professional statement. It is very, very important. From that professional statement, the recruiter should be able to know who you are in few seconds. Once you're able to achieve that, then you should that the person is going to invite you for an interview. Also use some industry keywords. These days, it is not difficult to be able to write a CV. At the end of this presentation, I will give us examples of apps that we can use, that would help us to improve our CVs. And I'll tell you of different strategies that I use that can also help you. So now you would use industry keywords to be able to pass the ATS. What is ATS? ATS is applicant tracking systems. Most recruiters will use this ATS to screen out your CV. So if the CV is not containing these keywords, especially keywords from the role that has been advertised, the role says that you should be able to use an X-ray machine. You must be able to put it there, that you have proficiency in operating an X-ray machine. That's a keyword from the role. There's now keyword from the profession itself that you must be able to use. And all these things you can get from tools. You can use AI to help yourself to get, to align your CV to these things. Also, you should be able to use very strong action verb, very, very strong action verb to also portray the things that you have done and what you have achieved. For example, you can use words like coordinated so and so team to achieve so and so results in so and so time frame. That way, you are selling out a soft skill, leadership to a particular, and selling out the quantifiable achievements that you have already made too. Your CV should be able to tell a story. Your CV is a story about you. So I'm reading your CV. It should be an interesting story. It's just like when you're writing SOPs for admission. Your SOP should be so interesting that it will capture the interest of who is reading. You get, it must flow. So same way too, your CV should be able to flow perfectly, where as person is reading, the person is, is enjoying what it's reading. That way you get an invite. Your CV should also have measurable achievements. Like I've said this many times. Measure the achievements. It is not just enough to say, I took record of dogs at so and so XYZ hospital, or I administered drugs, or I diagnosed this, or I helped in diagnosing this, or I assisted the surgeon to perform a surgery. No, it is not just only at that. You must be able to measure these achievements that you have been able to do. Last but not the least, you should be able to network yourself too, even with your CV. Network yourself with your CV. Network on LinkedIn. Network on Facebook. Even though Facebook is no more a tool for networking as before. It's now for, let me say, mostly on serious people or for gist. But the serious platforms that we have, LinkedIn, for professional networking. Get yourself on LinkedIn and in fact, LinkedIn has a section where you're putting your CV on it. So if you take your CV seriously and put your CV on LinkedIn, you have a soft copy there that is showing out to the whole world that this is who you are. Then for every single role that you achieve, come out there and write it. Don't be shy. In fact, when you get to LinkedIn, you'll be so oppressed. You will see people and their achievements. You'll be like, what have I done with my own life? You see one person come and tell you, I was able to win so and so award and get this and that scholarship. In fact, one person will come and tell you, I have like 5 different grants. Hey, how did you get there? The person keeps announcing himself. And then that way, there's a lot of visibility on them. Even if it is for you to write little articles about your work, about something, go ahead and write. Write. People will always read, and the more you write, the more you get optimized, the more the algorithm is, pushing you out to people because of your activities. So it is very, very important for us to consider these things. So last and not the least for this our presentation, before we go into questionings, to be a vet that can be employed, as we have discussed already, it goes just beyond having the technical knowledge and all the skills that we learn from school. It requires us that we are strategic with our career planning. And then we also need to have the business side of it. We also need to continue our learning process. We learn from your colleagues. We learn from the experiences that you have. We learn from the experiences of other colleagues. I'll give an example of my I'm working at Obasanjo Farm. Okay, let me just give this story. Now, in working for Obasanjo Farm, I was doing my personal practice thing, and then just immediately after the COVID, I just sensed with the way things were going on that a lot of personal practice people will suffer, and then I felt I'll be part of them. So I told myself, hey, bro, go get a job for now so you can fix yourself. So I called a colleague of mine who's working at Obasanjo Farm. And I said, bro, I need a job. Is there any opening in your farm? And then he sent the job role and said, you can apply. So I applied. I went for the interview. Now in the interview, I think I was the last person to be interviewed. And then I was asked different questions, and then I just categorically went in and said, sir, me, I've not done poultry plenty, but I've done consultations for people. I've not done large-scale poultry farming. But one thing that I know is that me, I'm good though. I'm a good doctor. Anything that has to do with being a doctor, I'm very good, and I can be able to survive in this job. And then, from there we had discussions about biosecurity, and I spoke so well on biosecurity. And that was what actually gave me that particular job. So I was able to network with someone who was in the game, and being able to show that I can take on this job. And then, had my challenges, and then had a very, very good success before leaving the place. So, and it gave me the opportunity to learn from different people. I had friends who were in the poultry industry already. People like Dr. Victor Riako, Dr. Semiu, some of you might know their names. Yeah, Dr. Semiu, who else again? Dr. Bango, who else was I consulting? Dr. Bertrand, a lot of them, even some animal scientists who were my friends. I was speaking to them whenever I had a challenge on the farm. I'll call them, hey guys, see, I saw this and this. What do you think? Even if I knew the answer to the problem, I will still ask them, what do you think? What have you guys used before that has solved this problem? So I was learning from the experience, and also learning from the experience of other people, what they had done. So that continuous learning process, we need it. We need to be open. Let me add this also. This is just out of the box and not really part of what I should talk about. As a veterinary doctor, please don't be too proud to learn from anybody. Don't be too proud to take something from somebody who is lower than you. Someone actually said that to me when I was coming into Obasanjo, and the man asked me, he said, what if you come on this job and then an attendant tells you that, doctor, you are wrong. with your diagnosis. This thing is not actually CRD, it is heat stress. How would you react to it? Then I said, I would laugh with the person and say, okay, tell me more. Why do you think it is this? Even if I didn't know it before, I'll use the opportunity to learn from that person. Now, eventually, I'm the person who would solve the problem. I would be the person that would be said solve the problem. Meanwhile, I learned from an attendant. As a veterinary doctor, you mustn't be too proud to learn from somebody who is professionally below you. Remember, there's nobody who is below anybody, but professionally below your rank or professionally below your educational status, you must be able to learn from these people. And then you must be able to plan your career, go for seminars, join programs, either online or offline or in person. You must be able to do all these things to improve yourself. That also helps you to connect with people and then improve your connections and give you chances to be able to meet industry heads that can give you employment. And I can even give you opportunity to speak about yourself, speak about things that you are doing. I'll add this to conclude. In my bio that was read, it was said that I'm trying to patent an idea of using chicken waste, actually chicken fat, to convert it into flavoring agent. It didn't just happen like that. It happened because I've worked with Obasanjo Farm. I currently work in a chicken processing factory in New Zealand and work with the farms too. Now, I see these materials and I tell myself, this is waste just going like that. This thing can be used. And, let me say my education in environmental health sciences is also actually helping to get this thing because I'm more of a creative person. So I said, what can be done? And then I came about this thing. Though there are other works that have been done on it, but not, I have to find a way to twist it and put some additionals to make it different from what every other person has done. And then by the time this thing comes out and it is successful, it becomes something that is attached to myself. Why? Because I'm able to learn from the process of the jobs that I've gone through, being able to open my eyes to see things. You can learn to develop a product just by doing, just by observing the things around the job. Like for instance, now maybe you see that there's something that AI can solve, or there's a particular role that an app can just tackle, and then you are a tech savvy. You develop something on that, and it solves a big problem. I become a hero in the veterinary community. Thank you very much.